Hey there, home theater fans. My name is Todd Anderson with avnirvana.com, and today I also want to welcome pinheads. So I'm a pinhead, and I'm standing here with a big pinhead, Zach Sharpe, Director of Marketing with Stern Pinball, and normally we only could cover home theater gear. That's why I'm here at CES, but when I heard you guys were going to be at Showstoppers, I couldn't help myself but register. This is a really exciting week for you guys, because you have Keith Elwin's version of Bond landing.
60th anniversary.
Right, and you've got George Gomez's version of Bond right here. So I'm really curious to hear a little of the backstory of how you guys came about with having two versions of the same title, essentially.
So we worked, extremely closely with the licensor, and typically our cornerstone games, which is Pro, Premium, and Limited Edition, is the George Gomez model. But with Bond being such a big global property, and them celebrating this whole big initiative of 60 years of Bond, celebrating all 6 Bonds, they really wanted to do this kind of like retro-inspired throwback. And George is only one person. So talking with the team and just collaborating internally, it's like, Keith, you're such a really good high-level player. Have you ever thought about maybe throwing some, designing some kind of throwback, old-school game? It's like, yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool.
And that's where he came up with, you look at it and it's just like, wow, it's 4 spinners and drop targets, but the flow and geometry of it is really special and unique. And then, not to discount, George's design. I mean, you got a ball ejecting through an Aston Martin.
Right.
You got a flying jetpack with a magnet on it. You got a Bird One physical ball lock. I mean, it's just incredible what
two totally different
two
worlds.
different experiences. Yeah.
Right. Well, what's interesting to me is that Keith Elwin, who designed, I guess you call it a single level game,
single level. Yep.
He's made 4 games with you guys.
Yes.
Up until now.
Iron Maiden, Jurassic Park, Avengers, Godzilla.
All of those have been more complex with ramps and all kinds of toys and mechs in them. So for him to go from all of that to this more basic design, but how basic is it?
It is. At face value, you're like, oh, it's basic. But when you really look under the hood, and even on the playfield, you got an in-playfield LCD screen, which is educating what you need to do.
Right. I
couldn't even tell you the last game that had 4 spinners. I mean, if you look at games, usually, 2 spinners, maybe 3. There's 4 spinners. He's got a shot that I've never seen before, this kind of like loop-de-loop that goes around. You got inline drop targets. You got an odd job spinning disc hat.
Right.
Drop targets galore.
And those are opto spinners, I think I read.
Yep, optical spinners.
So
when you
once
get
they
flow,
get going,
they don't stop.
Right. And then you have George's game.
Yes.
Which has a lot of his kind of characteristic.
Oh yeah, the fast
layout.
flowing, ramps that kind of loop around real quick.
Right.
He's got the inner loop that like rockets around. So I mean, you definitely have a George Gomez style that. Yes. I mean, a lot of people don't know. I don't know how into pinball your audience is.
Probably not very into pinball.
Okay, but you are, so you can enjoy this.
Yes, yeah.
This is only the 2nd game that he's had a 3rd flipper.
Right.
The first game that he ever
Corvette.
You got it.
Right.
So this is the 2nd game that he's only ever had with an upper flipper.
Okay. And what brought him back to doing that? Was it just kind of boredom of designing a 2-flipper game, or was he?
I think it was like an internal challenge. He hears people chattering. It's like, oh, it's going to be another George layout, 2 flippers. It's like, you know what? No.
Right.
And with the theme and what he wanted to accomplish with certain shots, the geometry just made sense in his mind that he wanted a 3rd flipper to, be accessible for other stuff. So.
And does it play fast?
Is there any slow George game?
No, right,
There is no slow George game.
So I had Johnny Mnemonic for quite a while, about 10 years.
One of the fastest games.
It was hard for me to get rid of that, but I had to make space.
Yeah.
But
make space for one of these?
Well, I just made space for Godzilla with it.
That's
so
not a bad decision either.
Right. So one thing kind of been a hot topic has been the pricing structure for, well, I guess all of your games in general, which you know that cost of goods and materials has gone up and it's labor's expensive. So that's understandable.
Yeah.
But the Elwin game is pushing the upper edge, the stratosphere of pricing that. Has an official price been announced for it, or is it
It's
kind
called for pricing. I mean, it ranges. I mean, we sold a few for all access members for $20,000.
Okay.
But I mean, it's selling, you know, ranging anywhere from $18,000 to $30,000. I mean, you look at a Supreme and, you know, games that are really rare. You know, it's like not every product is for everyone. It's like, I understand there's people who are upset that, you know, it's not more accessible to them, and trust me, I get it. I'm a pinhead, but you know, we have an accessible Pro Premium LE model here with George's game, where that is truly a unique, one-off, unicorn, 60 years of James Bond.
And only 500.
That's it. 500. That's it globally.
How do you designate what stays in the U.S. versus
overseas?
What gets shipped out?
I mean, it's typically 50-50. I mean, we have to service the market globally. So, I mean, it's just based on how our distribution works out and trying to be as fair as possible so everyone can, you know, be able to sell the product to their audience.
Is this kind of game limited to 500, high dollar price? Is that something that you give to dealers as a thank you in some ways?
Yeah, for sure, because they're able to make more off of a sale on these special, unique things.
Right. So your dealers that are turning over a lot of
and the thing is, you know, especially with no MSRP on that, and it's like really a true one-off unicorn game for them. You know, if they're able to sell it for however high as they need to or able to, you know, that helps, you know, keep them. I don't want to say in business, but like. Even more. So.
Sure, for sure. Yeah. And is it in production now? Is it on your line, or are you guys?
This month.
This month it is.
Yeah.
Will all 500 be rattled off?
It might go into the beginning of next month. If it. So this month and next month it will be all built. And good luck.
Awesome.
Good luck getting one.
For sure. So one more question for you, and then I'll let you go.
And then I've got a question for you.
Okay. I'm really curious. I mean, folks out there. Zach grew up in a pinball family. I mean, your father, who I've listened to on many podcasts, he's just a great listen. I mean, you almost want to give him a hug when it's over.
Or take a nap because he talks for like 3 hours. I'm a little more understated.
But his stories are always fun. But I'm just curious. I mean, you grew up with it around you, and I mean, obviously you were with it through the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. What do you think about what's happening right now with pricing and how aggressive the secondhand market has become, and how hard it is to even find games that, you know, like Whirlwind, say. When I first started collecting 10 years ago, it was rather easy to go out and find a Whirlwind for $1,600.
Sure.
Maybe $1,500. What do you make of this yourself, Zach Sharpe? Looking at the insanity that's happening right now,
it doesn't bother me so much because I think it's good because it shows that people care and there's interest, versus you can't give it away. Like, I'm having a yard sale and I can't give away this Medieval Madness for $50. That is way worse than I can't find these anywhere or I can't afford it. But the thing that I always love about pinball is it's truly for everyone, because if you can't afford it for your home, guess what? You can go out location, play a game for $1.
Sure, yeah.
So you don't need to own it. And it's like, even for me, you know, some people have limited space of how many games they can have. And to me, it's like, that's the beauty of pinball. It is truly accessible for everyone, whether you can own it or not. And, you know, some of our dealers, they offer financing. So it's not like the gut punch of like sticker shock of, I need to pay upfront for this, you know, one-off payment. It's like a car. It's like, all right, a car payment. I can kind of spread that out just a little bit. Maybe get a credit card rewards here and there. But
right on.
Yeah, but so to me, I love it. I mean, especially our business, it's been year over year just booming, especially since COVID. Our business has doubled. So,
and you guys are moving into a new
twice as large manufacturing facility this year.
So what does that mean for Stern Pinball going forward?
Bigger and better, especially with I haven't even touched on Insider Connected. I mean, that's bringing in a whole new generation of players. People can, you know, earn achievements, connect with players all over the world. We've got global leaderboards.
Yeah, that is exciting. I mean, I use that at home, and
once you start, it's like it feels weird not being able to log in. Like, no offense to Whirlwind.
Yes.
It's a fun game. You can't log in and earn an achievement.
You don't have that little, like, almost like a Vegas kind of sound, like, hey, you achieved something.
Yeah,
right?
Ding ding. It's a gamification of pinball. Like,
yes. Yeah, I do like that.
I love it.
I like that a lot.
A little Pavlovian, like.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's why, you know, even old school pinball machines, that's why they have the knockers, the credits, the high score. It's like that little, like oh, okay.
Right.
I did something good.
Yeah. Awesome. And you have a question for me before we wrap?
Who's your favorite Bond? I mean, we're talking about 60 years of Bond.
Oh, gosh.
I know it's a tough question.
I kind of prefer the Daniel Craig.
There's no wrong answer.
The more recent Bonds.
Yeah.
I am a kid of the 70s, so I've grown up with a lot of these. But yeah, I think Daniel Craig, I think the most recent movies have been my favorite. How about yourself?
Probably Daniel Craig.
There you go.
Pierce Brosnan's close. You know what? When we were doing this game, it made me watch, because I never had watched the original Sean Connery film. So, like, when we were developing the game, I'm like, all right, I need to watch these movies just to educate myself.
I mean, Sean Connery is in a league of his own.
I mean, he's the original. He's the one that built the legend that is James Bond.
Right.
It's like, without him, there is no Pierce Brosnan. There is no Daniel Craig. So,
plus his career beyond Bond was just extraordinary. Not that the others didn't have extraordinary careers, but
it's just different.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, listen, Zach, thank you so much for taking a few moments to chat with us.
Thank you for having me. I know you say you do, like, you know, home game rooms. Like, I mean, pinball is the ultimate, you know, collection and bragging right to anyone's game room. I mean, it's the ultimate gaming experience. Stern pinball.
That's right. All outside my home theater room. Yep. I have my my pens lined up.
Exactly.
And, yeah, it makes for a great combination.
Coolest house on the block.
That's right. Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And we'll have more for you guys from the show floor at CES 2023 soon.